and welcome to the Impact Your Fitness podcast, a part of the Think Fit, Be Fit podcast network. My name is Jenn Schwartz, and today we are going to discuss joint wear and repair and the possibilities of joint regeneration here at the Impact Your Fitness studio. This is part 2 of a special series, and I'm here with a special member of our team, Liz Achin. She is a rehabilitative specialist here that uses the NuX NX Pro for interactive neuromuscular stimulation and has a medical background as a nurse anesthetist. Yay! I do have trouble with some pronunciations, as you all know, as my loyal listeners and wonderful friends out there. Hello, Liz. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here to be a part of our team and also willing to do a podcast about this amazing work that we do here.
Hi, thanks. Happy to be a part of it.
Awesome. Please introduce yourself and don't be shy.
Okay. I'm Liz. Jenn has already told you about me. So I was and still am a client of Jenn and saw the amazing work that she did with me and became very passionate about helping other people. So that's how I ended up on the team.
Yeah. Well, you have an amazing aptitude for kinesthetic awareness, anatomy, obviously, weird stuff. And
I know I do find weird stuff. If you're weird, come to me.
Yeah. So, and like the fact that you are wanting to try new stuff and look outside the box and heal your own body is, let's put that at the top of your resume because that's what we love about you here.
Thank you very much.
All right, friends, Impact Your Fitness friends and smart fitness enthusiast. That's you, our listeners. We're covering the biology of the healing and growth that happens behind wear and repair. And those factors are organized vascularization, nerve growth, and structural remodeling. And so, of course, wear and repair doesn't quite sound right. It's very common for us, just, people with joint issues and pain, to think of our joints in a wear and tear manner. So I'm posing this question to Liz, to you, to the whole audience. How do we know joint regeneration is possible? How wear and repair is the new coolest thing out there and not wear and tear? Liz, how do we know? What do you think?
Well, we're doing it with our clients.
Yeah, that's how we know.
That's how we know.
Yeah. How do we prove it to other people?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
They have to come here.
Yeah. Well, I have, one way that I explain it to clients, because I do get like the eyebrow raise when I say wear and repair, like think of a new paradigm, wear and repair. So, and I think one way that the message gets across to people is like, I say it's now sufficiently popular that we are offered shots, PRP, stem cells for joint problems. So I say, like, would this be popular and available if regenerative medicine didn't exist, if regeneration in the joint wasn't possible? Do you think they're just giving us random stem cells and crossing their fingers? I hope not. I hope that's not the case. I hope that it's accepted that joint regeneration is possible. And maybe someone else out there is using the term wear and repair. I haven't heard it, but I think joints can, of course, they can have wear patterns and wear down. If they didn't, we wouldn't have jobs. And you see it in the OR. You've seen wear and tear. So the opposite, that's what we're talking about. And it exists. And I think the idea that it's offered to us in these orthopedic settings is a good example of how we know it's true. And I want to say this, especially to all of our clients, that I have my criticism for accepting these shots without having a solid metabolic baseline and having the ability to produce the raw materials and the enzymes and the blood flow needed to have joint regeneration. So On the other hand, when we are not taking the injectables, we can build cellular health, lifestyle health, and strengthening at a third of the cost of those injectables. And that's what we're doing here. So this whole episode and this little series is dedicated to how does that work? What does it feel like? And what's happening? So I guess it's time for that biology, and we're going to talk about the vascularization, nerve growth, and the structural remodeling. And you said something really so cool. I had to write it down earlier. And do you want to say it, or I can just quote you, even though you're sitting here?
Oh, yeah, you can quote me.
Okay. So, quote Liz. Quote, the structural remodeling happens because of these like scaffolds in place. Our bodies are super efficient in rebuilding, and sometimes it doesn't rebuild with the correct stuff. Yeah.
Right. That's how we were talking about it. That's how you get spurs, arthritis. It's because your body's isn't utilizing the correct nutrients to rebuild.
Yeah. Yeah. The raw materials.
Yep. Yes.
So the cool thing is, again, like, let's just remind everyone, like, the opposite can happen. We can remodel again and again and again, right? Like the changes in the joint can go the other way. Just like I like calluses as a good example.
Okay.
Because like when we lift our weights, or calluses on shoes happen all the time, right?
Okay.
Or from shoes, or calluses I have them from lifting weights. So on my third and fourth fingers, I have these tiny little calluses, and basically my skin is remodeling to help me out.
Oh, yeah. It's like a protective mechanism.
Yeah. But the opposite of that is like a blister, where it's like too much too soon, which can be maybe like a tear in the muscle. Callus, painful. Callus, very helpful for my function, which is I love Olympic weightlifting. And I guess the opposite can, something even more structural can happen with maybe a bone spur there, because I'm using that part of my hand, and bone is going to remodel there to help out even further. So that's not exactly an example of like tissue damage, but that's an example of tissue structural remodeling.
Well, the damage happened first, and then the remodeling happened.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's so many fun examples we could talk about. But let's I want to take a pause and say the whole series of Wear and Repair is my hope is that after listening to the series, that the audience and our clients start to think of the joints as wear and repair instead of wear and tear. The traditional narrative, wear and tear, suggests that we can replace parts like a car. And the rehab professionals like us are like these mechanics, or that orthopedic replacements are just as good as the original parts. So the body isn't a car that needs to be fixed. Our body is much more like a garden that responds to sunlight and water and good nutrients. And our growth possibilities are pretty vast, just like, a well-nurtured garden. Okay, so we wanted to, I just moved my microphone, sorry people. So we wanted to get back to this vascularization, nerve growth, structural remodeling. Liz, you pulled some papers on these subjects. What did you find?
What did I find? Blood flow is so important. The rate of healing is dependent on the local delivery of oxygen and nutrients. And new tissue growth is always centered around a blood vessel. So wherever there's damage, rebuilding starts at the blood vessel and works its way out. So to me, blood flow is very important, revascularization. And then adequate nutrition so that your body has the right stuff to rebuild and repair.
Okay. And I have to ask, like, what's the opposite of that when you are in the OR and you see, like, in the middle of a joint replacement?
So what we see is our patients coming back with infections in their new joints. And one of the telltale signs is when the surgeon reopens the wound, there's no blood flow. And so that impacts healing. So the surgeon will debride the wound. So they'll take all the necrotic tissue and actually cause blood loss. They want it to bleed to be able to heal the wound.
Wow.
And then that starts the process.
Well, yeah, I'm sure your patients are really glad that they are in your care for that part.
Yes. They're asleep. They're not feeling anything.
Well, okay, that is, yeah, I saw a picture the other day of necrotic tissue because that's what my Instagram algorithm likes to show me.
That's nice.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But, it's pretty gnarly. It's, it's probably something we've seen in some kind of like horror movie, where there's not blood flow. It's like kind of dark and dead. And,
it is.
Yeah.
And
not
kind of looks gray.
in a gray, gross. Oh. Oh my God. Oh gosh, old meat. No. Okay. Anyways, back to so part of our work here, I think it's like when we talk, we had one recent client, they're trying to get ready for a joint replacement.
Okay.
So we're not really saying like, hey, it's wear and repair time. We're saying like, hey, it's blood flow time. We want to give you as much strength and vascularization around there so that your healing process and your recovery process are better than expected.
Right.
So it applies to basically all cases. When we're talking about muscle growth, the NewX NX Pro interactive neuromuscular stimulation increases the muscle activation, which increases the blood flow, which increases all these like chemicals, including pro-inflammatory, anti-inflammatory cytokines that help everything grow and change. So I guess what I'm saying is that blood flow piece is one of the first things you almost feel when you leave here, right? After a session. It's like, oh, that's, yeah. Cole's sitting here. What do you think?
100%.
Blood flow. Yeah. And it's something I think that it happens right away, and it happens also, during the aftercare of your sessions. Your blood is still, you're getting more blood flow because that area is metabolically active. And even more so again with this like extra stimulation that we put in there. And that the stimulation that we put in there is so precise because we find out exactly where to put the pads with the mapping technique. And we find those spots that need it the most, which is even, I guess that's really like a garden when we like get that water into the right place, right?
You're pruning.
Yeah. Well, pruning. Okay. Well, that's like, I think of that as part of the neuroplasticity part too. Okay. But I guess it could have it, with nerve growth, vascularization, they go hand in hand. So pruning is like a refining process.
Okay.
Yeah. We're talking, our orchids are here, like just looking gorgeous, by the way. Anywho. Okay. So, wow. All right. So we talked about vascularization, oxygen. I think oxygen is a really underrated topic when in rehab because like nerves and muscle areas that have pain and tightness have a lack of oxygen. So I'm going off script, Liz.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we have muscles that are contractured or trigger points, we also have a scenario where there's not ATP being produced, which has everything to do with the oxygen metabolic pathway. So when there's not oxygen, there's a lack of blood flow. So then I think of that area as being ischemic, which is similar to how people think of as damage from like strokes and cardiac events. But I think it happens at the muscular level, and that is a very underrated, untalked about undercurrent of rehab. What else do I want to say about that? I think that the fact that we're able to change that with our various methods, not just the NUX and the electrical stim, but definitely that's the core restore training system,
Right.
the MAT, the combination of those things, like I think really oxygenate the whole area and the whole muscle. So doing focused isometrics is really, I think, healing for some of these areas that have the wear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the first things I always talk about with clients, because they're usually doing the opposite, which is like trying to stretch the tightness out, and stretching the tightness out is just blowing past the body's protective mechanisms. Bowie's here scratching. Okay. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, you can't have collagen regrowth without oxygen, right? So when you're talking about repairing, oxygen is essential for that.
Yes. Yeah.
So that makes sense how we would want to allow more to get into the areas of the muscle and tissue that are depleted in it.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So changing muscle behavior, changing muscle food, nutrient, and then changing the state of the whole entire area. Basically, it's much more relaxed and functional. So I did a whole episode on the Impact Your Fitness podcast. I don't remember which episode it is, but it's like, how do you know your muscles aren't functioning well? And it's like, tightness, like you feel tired after just like doing a few things. It has this whole list. So I'm going to put that in the notes for everyone because it's worth revisiting. It's a real quickie episode that I did like a year ago. Anyways, okay. So first of all, Liz, good job on transitioning. You're a podcaster now.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Because we're going to talk about collagen. Collagen is, it's part of the whole, there's a lot of collagen in the body. There has to be. It's the skin. It's, it's our like scaffolding in a way.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good way to think of the wear and repair process we're talking about the scaffolding that is needed to build muscle and to build healthy other tissues, not just the like strength and muscle. So I don't know. It's like interesting. I don't think people think of their joints as getting healthier at the soft tissue level or even like the tendon level. They just think about the muscle and then the opposite, and then just like not hurting and not being tight. So we're trying to just get this nuance going, which is collagen matrices, which is the building blocks, right? So you found an interesting, I think a meta-analysis. It was like 500 subjects, that paper.
Right, about collagen.
Ingestion.
It improves, it increases analgesia in patients with knee osteoarthritis.
Yeah.
So they followed a series of patients who took collagen peptides and who didn't. And it was statistically significant to reduce joint inflammation, enhance mobility, and support cartilage regeneration.
And that's just from ingesting it.
Yeah,
they weren't doing any of our fancy stuff.
No.
So for our clients doing all this amazing work with us, thank you. 2, a really good time to take collagen is right after you're done with us, because
that's a good point.
Things are circulating, and that's really where I've read is the most helpful for the athletes in the room and listening, all your friends. I suggest glycine as well with the collagen, and that like really opens up the ability to uptake it and put it in the right place. So collagen, glycine, you can take those, like that's what the study was about, and it helped pain with osteoarthritis. And then was that 6 months? I don't remember
either.
It was a significant amount of time. It was about 500 people, so
it's legit.
Yeah, it's not like 6. I've had my own experiences with joint wear and repair. And that is my right knee. Over time, I've been able to reconfigure and rebuild and restructure the bony places in my knee. Both of my ACL ligaments have been torn. The right one had a graft from the patellar tendon that was torn. They're even shown in our clients that have done ultrasound, but there's a study out there that does show that ligaments can repair too, which is not something, that's a totally different subject because vascularization is not even really a part of that. Or maybe it's, I don't know how that works, but we're going to look into it. But anyway, so I've seen a bone spur shrink on my x-ray. I can feel it, of course, like it was blocking extension. And that went away over time. And that was with MAT and really focused isometrics and strength training. And I've also seen how doctors look at x-rays and diagnose arthritis is the joint space. So if you have less space, you have more arthritis. Is that, I think, a good picture?
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So a joint that is fused naturally, we see it all the time in toes and hands, like a hammer toe. That's a naturally fused joint that's also arthritic. So that's what I mean, like the space decreases inside the joint. So my space increased in my right knee before the age of 35. I was able to reverse damage. And I've mentioned this in a previous podcast. Those teenagers that are getting ACL reconstructions, you've seen them, I think. Their osteoarthritic process increases by 60%. So by the time, if I got mine when I was 16, my first one, or my only one, and by the time I was 23, I had diagnosable arthritis. So anyway, so I was able to reverse some of that with these concepts that we're talking about today. And I've only been using the electrical stim since a year and a half.
Wow.
So sky's the limit right now. I'm really excited. But yeah, I did see the joint space increase. So that's a reversal. I saw the bone spur decrease, another reversal. So that's just my example of that happening. And yeah, feeling strong and stable and no pain. Yay.
Yeah. Well, and because you've experienced it personally, it makes you that much more passionate about it. Because you can see clients and you have like high expectations for them. You can see where they're going.
Yeah. That does like hurt me sometimes, like mentally and like emotionally. But for the people that like stick with it, it's so worth it. Like watching Patty march around here the other day was pretty awesome.
She was so happy.
Yeah, she was so happy. So, and she did, and they did the ultrasounds on her muscle tissue and knee, and they saw a reversal of the strength, the VMO, but also some ligament strength back in there. So, we got visual confirmation, third-party confirmation on that. So we saw it happen there too. So bring your weird cases over here to Impact Your Fitness. We love it. And what do you have? I'm going to wrap it up. Do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Gulp. So in conclusion, there's a lot to, this healing and strength process. Understanding the scaffolding and how the raw materials work is a new perspective for regenerative orthopedic medicine and health and fitness. If you want to see for yourself and be a part of the awesome crew here, check out some of our testimonials at impactyourfitness.net or on our IG, Instagram, impact_your_fitness_studio. The important takeaways from episode 15 and 17, we have natural electrical fields and conductive pathways in the body. We can harness them and make you stronger and healthier. Boom. Number 2, muscle building and in a much more complex way, tissue regeneration requires well-orchestrated vascularization, nerve growth, and the formation of extracellular collagen matrices to achieve healing and growth. Thank you for listening to this special episode of Impact Your Fitness. I hope you've gained a new perspective on tissue regeneration and how all of this affects our injuries, muscle performance, and joint health. Remember, our bodies are not like cars that need fixing. They're more like gardens that respond to sunlight and water. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to share your thoughts or have questions about common misconceptions on wear and repair, reach out to us on Instagram. And don't forget, you can experience the power of bioelectricity and all this juicy stuff we're talking about, the wear and tear mechanism for yourself in Alexandria, Virginia. Thank you guys for listening, and like, subscribe, do all the things. All right.